Hello everyone. I've just landed here right now. I thought it's at 3, so maybe I'm going to be having more time. I'm going to talk with you a bit about customer experience and customer journey optimization. And the problem that we all have in this industry, in the e-commerce industry, is that we reach only 1 out of 4 people, and we spend, as an industry, $600 billion to target them. And that's crazy, if you ask me. And in order to connect this with my trip to Peru, I'm going to tell you a few things. So, 3 weeks ago, I've been meeting this guy. He's 94 years old. He's living in a place called Taquila Island. It's on the Lake Titicaca. And the guy is doing here is weaving. Yeah? He's making socks and a lot of other stuff. And the women are in control over there. And the reason I got there, of course, it was because of my experience. And the experience was incredible. I've also took my kids with me. And I've been second time in Peru, so I've been 5 years ago and I've decided to come again. And that was on the road to Machu Picchu. We were staying in a tent. We were there 20 people, and then we got to this tent after 8 hours of hiking. And it was excruciating. I mean, you go for 4 days in a row in the mountains, but the good side of it was that tent was arranged by some porters, which were like that tall, and they were carrying 50 kilos in their bags. And they even cooked for us, so we've got warm food over there. And eventually we got to a place called Dead Woman's Pass, where it was 4,250 meters. But the good side of it was that my kids were really surprised about their experience, and their self-esteem and their trust increased exponentially after this trip. Why have we done that? It was because of our brain. So the human brain works like this. So we are looking for our dose of dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, and endorphins. So mainly, we are on the lookout, on a constant lookout when we get to look at our phone, when we answer the phone, when we think of someone that we are in a relation with. All that we are doing is to follow the instructions of the brain, which is looking for happiness and for positive experiences. So if we have if we have emotions, that's where the memory steps in. If we don't have any emotion, then that means no action and low memorability. So that's what almost all the advertisers and almost all the e-commerce players are forgetting, that actually, we are looking for long-term relationships with our customers. We are not looking for a one-time shot. We are not looking for a first order. So, I'm going to ask you right now if the acquisition, if the decision to acquire and to buy a product is guided, it's triggered by the emotion or by the ration, by the reasoning. So, how many of you think is the emotion which makes the customer to buy? So, can you raise your hands? Okay, so let's say 40% of you think of that, and I suppose the other ones, do you think that is the reasoning that decides the customers to buy? How many of you think that's the reason? Okay, so what do you think the other ones? The neutral ones, you don't want to vote? That's what's happening to our countries because of lack of intention to vote. Okay, so the reality is that 95% of the purchase decisions are subconscious. So these are made by the emotions. So according to Harvard Business School Professor Gerald Salmon, that's what's happening. So we do know that 95% of the decisions that we are doing to buy this instead of that mobile phone, that whatever it is actually made by our subconscious. And 5% is based on the reason. What we are doing is that we do the post-buying rationalizing. So we argument in our mind that we've made this decision because, okay, I need the sixth pair of red shoes if I'm a woman, or I need another, I don't know, model of iPhone. So mainly it's the emotion that triggers the decision, it's not the ration. But still, for us as e-commerce owners or managers, which one is more important, the customer or the product? So what do you think? Who thinks that the customer is more important? Okay, and who thinks the product is more important? Nobody. Excellent. So if that's the reality, how many of you that you've just raised your hands, almost all of you, how many of you are actually measuring the customer's emotional response after the delivery? How many of you? Come on, raise your hands. Okay, so we have a winner or two, but you are very shy. So you haven't decided if you're actually measuring it or not. So mainly we do know that 95% of the decisions are made through emotions. We know that. We know that almost all of us think here that the customer is more important than the product. Still only 1% is actually measuring what's going on after the delivery of the product or of the service. So mainly we need to understand where we are right now. So we are coming from the agrarian economy towards the industrial economy, and we are just passing through the service economy to the experience economy. So people are not willing to buy commodities anymore. People are looking to buy experiences. So last night I've been to the Museum of Illusions in Athens, and it was extraordinary. So €9, the entrance, was worth much more than the experience I've got to an expensive restaurant before. And I will talk about that experience. I'm not going to talk about the experience that I've got to the restaurant. So mainly, we are coming to an experience economy. That's being published on November, on 11th of November, so that's around 2 weeks before. So Alibaba sets a new record, right? So on Singles Day, which is an event that they've invented, they've sold $31 billion in 24 hours. To have a comparison, in Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Thanksgiving in the US, there were sales of around $25 billion. But what these guys have done, they've invented a complete event. So they've invited Cirque du Soleil over there, they've invited Mariah Carey and Allen Iverson. So they've made a broadcast, a big show of 200 million people to watch that event. So mainly they've made a show on the national television, and they've got 200 million people watching. So it wasn't just an event where they were selling goods with a discount, which is big or small. It was a totally show. Yeah, it was a show. It wasn't like we want to sell goods. So goods plus the show equals the experience, and equals this generates better chances to sell the product. So mainly, according to Joseph Pine, we are living in this, we are going directly to the experience economy. So we've come from the moment when we were just buying commodities, and now we are looking to buy goods. So we've customized the commodities and we've sold the commodities, and then those were transformed into products. And then we are looking to sell services. So we've customized the products and we've arranged the services economy. And now we as marketeers, as e-commerce owners, we are just staging experiences. So we are more like directors, like movie directors, than we think we were before. So it's not about just buying the products from China or from wherever and to selling them here and there. It's not about moving products from A to B. It's about staging real positive experiences to our customers. And the next level will be the transformation. So many people are not going to just looking for experiences, but they were looking for experience that will transform them. So if we look at what Starbucks is doing right now with their products, we look at the market from simple market to premium market, right? From cheap products to premium products. And then we look at the differentiation. So they took the coffee and they've packed the coffee. So then, with that coffee, we've got to a place where the coffee wasn't just packed. So it's already made for you. And what they are doing, Starbucks, right now, they are actually staging an experience. So nobody's going to Starbucks just to buy coffee. We're going to Starbucks to sit there with our laptop and to connect via Wi-Fi and spending time on a couch and meet with our friends or whatever. So that's how Starbucks sells a lot of coffee on this planet. Because they are not selling coffee anymore. They are selling experience. And according to Joseph Pine, and that's an extraordinary statement, companies should think about what they would do differently if they would charge admission. So admission to buy the product. And that's how we should think about our companies. So we should differentiate and we should think about, hey, I'm selling this kind of products, but what if I would ask people to actually spend money in order to have access to buy my products? So what I would do differently? Because poor emotional experiences are hurting loyalty. So mainly the customers which are upset because of the experience, not about the product itself, they actually don't want to buy anymore from your company. So they don't want to recommend your company, they don't trust the company, they are not forgetting about the bad experiences with your company, and they are not willing to try new services and products anymore. So according to this research, more than 60% of the customers are not going to recommend or do anything if they got the bad experience. Still, almost one person from this audience actually measured how the experience was for their customers. So we are somehow hypnotized about acquiring new traffic, about adding new products, about, I don't know, changing the website's platform, about other stuff, but we don't do something so simple like asking customers about feedback. And the standard e-commerce customer journey looks like this. So we do demand generation and we bring traffic on our website, then the order is placed, then we send the order confirmation, then we deliver the order, and then the show begins. We simply bombard our audience with, hey, buy again, come again, it's 20% discount, it's 10, it's 15, we have new stuff. And we simply blast a lot of emails with the hope that customers will come and purchase again from our company. And usually the average retention rate, when we do that, when we use the standard e-commerce customer journey, is around 15%. So imagine how crazy it is to spend $600 billion to acquire customers, to have only 1 out of 4 of those customers see the advertisement that we have, and then to have 1% of them buying the products, and then to have only 15% of them returning to buy again. So maybe that's not how the game should be. And the advanced e-commerce customer journey that I'm just proposing to you looks like this. So we do the demand generation, we do the order placement, we send the order confirmation, and then we deliver the order. Afterwards, we have only 3 steps which are so simple. The first step is to ask the customer for feedback. How was the delivery? How fast? How the product looks against the expectations that you've got? And the Net Promoter Score, which is a very simple KPI, that's the single one which shows what are the chances for future sales, right? So according to the top 500 Fortune CEOs, NPS is the single KPI which is exposing the future. Because the other KPIs, like, I don't know, the lifetime value, the revenue, the EBITDA, the whatever, is just showing the past. And then after we find out the objections, we can do objection treatment. So in case we have objections, we should treat them right away. And after we do that objection treatment, so after we fix the bugs that may have occurred in the relation with the customer, then we enroll him in the customer retention program. So we have like the, let's say the big bad corporations are doing with their employees, you know, showing them the carrot that in 6 months, if you behave, you'll get to the role of supervisor. And then in 12 months, you'll have a raise. And then in 24 months, you'll be a manager, an assistant manager. And then in 4 years, you'll be the executive manager or whatever. So exactly this path, exactly this progress bar, we should use with our customers. We should, because we are in a relation with them, and we need to send them into a moment, you know, into imagining the future. When you place the second order, this will happen. When you place the fourth order, you will get to the genius state, like Booking.com is doing with us. Who is using Booking.com from here? Okay, a lot of you. So, and who's having the genius member statement? Okay, and we feel good because our dopamine level is higher if they promise that we'll get the badge of being a genius member, right? Exactly that's what they do with us in order to keep on buying for them. Because now that we've achieved the state of genius, we need to keep it. So that's how you should play your game with your customers. Because after you do that, you can personalize the ads according to how valuable the customers are for you. And that means you're not just simply broadcasting messages to everyone the same, hey, it's Black Friday, you get 30%. You broadcast something like, hey, because you are a true lover of our company and you've placed 6 orders, here's Black Friday for you with 24 hours in advance and 5% extra specifically for you. Because you want, let's say, loyal customers, you don't want price hunters, which are coming and going. So after that, you could have your second order be placed, and that's for half of your customers. So according to the data, using this kind of advanced e-commerce customer journey leads to 3 times better retention rates. So Casper, for instance, by analyzing their customers and by understanding who's their ideal customer profile and what are their needs and problems with the surveys, they've understood that they sell mattresses online, and the main problem of their customers was insomnia. So they had sleep problems. And they've made this kind of game out of this customer experience understanding. So they've invented an AI chatbot called Insomnia Bot 3000. So people were spending their nights chatting with a bot which was very, very intelligent, and eventually they fall asleep with the phones in their hands. Right? So that's how they've understood the real problem of their customers, and that led to 100 million extra US dollars in sales for Casper in the first year, which is 2017. So that's how it is to really understand your customer, not to understand, let's say, the products or, I don't know, new services that a new provider is trying to sell on you. And that means to be customer-centric. I happen to be the co-founder of the largest online car insurance player in Romania. We have around 150,000 customers, and at some point we were spending 800,000 US dollars on advertising alone. So AdWords, PPC, Facebook, so we were just financing Facebook and Google AdWords. And we realized we need to do something. So we've calculated the customer acquisition cost that we can have, and it was around $8 US. So with that, we've made an experiment, and we've sent 3,000 birthday cakes in December in 2010, and that led to an increase of the Net Promoter Score by 17.5%. So that meant that a lot of people started to recommend us, and that eventually led to having a lot of satisfied customers, more satisfied, because there were people which were, let's say, alone on their birthdays, right? I personally went to see customers of ours which were just buying car insurance from us. And they were like 50 years old guys which were remotely there, and they haven't got anyone thinking about their birthday. And we were just a remote company that sent them a birthday cake. So what we need to do right now is to identify our ideal customer profile. So to do that, you need to calculate your customer acquisition cost. And then you need to find out your average gross margin, so how much can you spend to acquire a new customer. Then we need to do RFM segmentation, and I will tell you more about it. Then we need to do quantitative research, so to understand the value of the true lovers out of our own audience. Then we understand the reasons they buy, the reasons they abandon us, the product satisfaction, the services satisfaction, and their demographics. So that way we can understand who's our ideal customer profile and why they buy from us. After that, we understand their buying patterns, like what products are being bought by the true lovers, what type of categories the true lovers are buying, and which are their main brands that they are buying from us. And afterwards, we generate the insights. So mainly, after we do all this process, we will come up with the brainstorming ideas, and we will just start to execute. The other route is to simply go to Google AdWords and finance them, simply buying again and again. So in order to differentiate from small players to big players, we need to provide them extra support, extra satisfaction, delivery, and extra returns. These are the main, let's say, differentiating values that we can provide against the big players. So mainly RFM segmentation, I'm going to be really fast on that. RFM segmentation means recency, frequency, and monetary value. So we simply score the customers according to how recent they've bought from us, how frequent, and how much they've spent on us. Then we have the whole database of customers. We see their recency, frequency, and monetary scores. And then we can find out that in our existing database, we have the true lovers. So the ones that bought the most often, and the biggest monetary values. And these are 5, 5, 5. Then we have the lovers, which are 4, 3, and 4, that bought recently. Then we have the Don Juans, the ones that simply placed a big order but a lot of time ago. So we understand who are the Don Juans in our database and why they are not buying from us. And of course, we will realize that we have a lot of ex-lovers. So people which were very, very interested in our products, but they left us. So they placed a lot of orders, and at some point they've left our company and they haven't placed an order since. And we don't know why. The problem with them is that we have any company has around 15 to 25% of the whole customers which are ex-lovers. Yeah. The last slide that I'm going to show to you is the fact that one true lover, so only a single customer which is true lover, is valuable as 397 fresh customers, new customers. The problem is that 90% of our efforts goes to new acquisition instead of looking at our existing customers and how valuable they are for us. So I think that's it. I'm not going to show you the last things. After that, you simply do a mapping with customer benefits. And the last slide that I'm going to show to you is that people will forget what you've said to them, what you've done, but will never forget how you make them feel. Thank you, and sorry for being late.